Yo, what is going on, guys? Today I'm going to show you how to go ahead and level up your websites and optimize them by running A/B tests and adding personalization. We've actually got a car rental website demo that I've included all of the code for, and we're going to combine it with Prepr CMS, and you're going to see just how powerful and easy adding those amazing features can be. So without further ado, let's jump straight into a demo. Check it out. So here we have a car rental website. Now all of the code has been included in the second link in the description in the GitHub repo. So I'm going to show you how to get that set up in just a second. But let's imagine we have this car rental website, beautiful website. And here you can see we've got a couple of recommendations. We've got a really nice header banner, and we can go ahead and scroll the website and see a bunch of things about it. Now, in this case, let's assume I came onto this page from a advert. Now I've actually gone ahead and made it super easy for you. So at the bottom, I've included 3 different types of adverts and the ability to reset your cookies to pretend you're a new user. So in this case, I'm going to click on the Google ad, and let's just say you were browsing on Google and you typed in business lease electric car and you came across this beautiful ad. Now you've gone ahead and clicked it, and now you've landed on the electric lease page. So this is a page on the website. Now, typically this is normal user behavior. They'll come on, they'll see something they may like, and then they may disappear from the website. But now, because they've actually accessed the electric lease part of the website, we can segment the user based on that information, and we can do some personalization. So the next time that they return to the homepage, they're going to see a personalized homepage. Check this out. When we click on the homepage now, it says green your drive, lease top electric cars, and it's recommending this time electric cars instead. Guys, that is absolutely so damn valuable. It's crazy. Think about it. Now, when they come back to the website, they can go ahead and get a really nice view of what they were previously interested in, which improves your conversion rates of different customers. Let's try it one more time. So I'm going to go ahead and reset the cookies this time. So now we've gone ahead and pretended we're a new user. So if I click on ASIM lease, we can see we get the generic homepage. So this is the screen that a new user will see every time they approach the website. So we're going to scroll down and we're going to click on private lease. So we're going to click learn more, and private lease takes us to the reliable used car page. Now let's say they've scrolled on this page, looked around for a little bit, they may have even clicked in. Because they landed on that second page here, occasion lease, which by the way in Netherlands, occasion means used car. So in this case, we've landed on the reliable used car page. Now they've disappeared, or they simply go back to the main page. So let's go back to the home page. Look at this, guys, a car for every occasion, and occasion meaning used cars. Okay, so in this case, now they're getting personalized recommendations because they were searching for that on the website. So we can segment our users based on different things, based on the different pages they may have visited, based on certain demographics, all of that good stuff. And you're probably wondering, Sonny, that sounds really difficult. Well, Prepr CMS makes it an absolute breeze. I'm going to show you how to implement all of this in today's video. Now, on top of that, what if we want to introduce A/B testing? So you may have heard of A/B testing. A/B testing is essentially where we test 2 different variants and we decide on which one is a winner based on the overall outcome of which one performed better. So let's take a little example of what I'm talking about here. So in this case, for example, we have great value business leases. Now, this is actually already set up as an A/B test on the back end. So some users will see this great value business leases with learn more. And if I go ahead and actually reset the cookies, I may get a different variant now. So if I go back to the homepage now as a second user, okay, I've got the same variant. Let's try it one more time as a new user. So I've gone ahead and reset my cookies again. And now you can see the title has changed to business lease with a different text variant on the CTA. So this is an example of an A/B test. And I'm going to show you how you can go ahead and set this up. Now you're probably wondering, well, what's so significant about that? Well, A/B tests are awesome for many reasons. Small changes can lead to such dramatic effects on our websites when it comes to conversions. Now, conversions mean essentially getting your customer to click through and actually go ahead and use your service, go ahead and purchase your product, go ahead and actually use the website that you've built. Now, if we can go ahead and improve that little by little with A/B tests, this leads to drastic wins in the long run. So I'm going to show you how to go ahead and implement that. Now, But how is all of this possible? Well, firstly, I've given you all of the code in the second link in the description. I'm going to show you how to go ahead and get that set up. But the main powerhouse behind all of this is Prepr. So this is the Prepr dashboard. And guys, when I tell you Prepr CMS is absolutely a powerhouse. Now, what is Prepr? Think of Prepr as a modular solution or framework. So it plugs in and it handles the headless CMS portion. So we can go ahead and add the data in, that we may need. Project managers can go ahead and change it. You don't need developers to come in and go ahead and tinker with things once it's been launched. You can go ahead and get your management team, marketing team, anyone else to go ahead and change the content on the website. Plus, you can go ahead and plug in certain features like optimization features such as personalization or A/B testing. Now, typically website creation and optimization are viewed as separate tasks. So they're each handled by different teams. You've got your development team, your growth team. Sometimes you might have your marketing team in there, and they all use different tools for content management. And there's a lot of drawbacks to this. One, it can cost more. It's got a much more nasty user experience because there can be different tools, and if you know how to use one tool but you may not know how to use the second tool. So Prepr went ahead and solved all of this by combining everything into this modular package where you can plug and play as and when you need it. So essentially, it's a CMS that allows us to create A/B tests and personalize our website. Sounds great, right? Well, let's go ahead and check it out a little bit more. So in this case, we've got the overall website. So feel free to check it out yourself. And as I mentioned before, you can go ahead and have the CMS element. So this is the content element, and you can go ahead and actually add in different parts of the page. So I'm going to go again, show you a real demo right now. So if we go into our actual Prepr dashboard, so I'm going to go ahead and show you an example of this in real time. So I'm going to pull open my dashboard, and here I have the home page. And as you can see, we've got the home page open, and I'm going to go ahead and actually click into the title. So you can see we've actually segmented. I'll show you that in just a second. But here, if we've got the welcome to ASIM car, find your car, I'm going to go ahead and say, hola from ASIM lease, find your car today. Right, so let's go ahead and change the intro of the header, and we simply click publish and close. And just like that, guys, there was no tech experience needed. When the next user comes on the website, they will see hola from ASIM lease, find your car today. So very, very simple CMS interaction, and you can go ahead and do much more complicated things than just this. So I'm going to go ahead and revert that change right now by saying welcome to ASIM lease, find your car today, and we're going to publish that. There you go. And we also have all of the other different content items here. We also have the ability to customize and produce our own schema. So lots and lots of flexibility here. And we can go ahead and upload our own media. So a lot of the assets that you're seeing today are being hosted on Prepr CMS, just like so. Okay, so firstly, let's go through an example of how we can set up our personalization. So in this case, I'm just going to go ahead and reset my cookies. So we've got a fresh user experience. And I'm going to show you on the back end exactly how this works. So heading over to the platform, we can go over to the segments. Now on the segments, we should have a couple of users. Now, as I've been replicating my user every time, we can see that 7 seconds ago, this is likely me right now. So in this case, you can see I viewed the home page and I started a session. So in this case, let's go ahead and click on, for example, the business lease. Now the business lease will take me to the electric lease page. So in this case, if I go back to my platform, give it a quick refresh, now you can see a view has been triggered. So we've got a landing page electric lease that has been triggered. Now, what I can actually see here is it's placed me into the electric car lovers segment. And this is the really powerful part, guys. So typically you might be wondering, whoa, at this point, I'm guessing he's going in his code and he's adding something which checks against the segment. Well, no, it's actually a lot simpler than all of that. It plugs straight into the CMS. Firstly, I'm going to show you how to create a segment. So if we go back to our initial screen, we can go ahead and see at the top here, we can create different segments. So I've gone ahead and created a segment. So let's click into this, and I've called it the electric car lovers, and it's simply got an ID of the same. And the conditions to fall into this segment of users is if you viewed, so in this case, look, there's lots of different attributes you can go ahead and select or segment your users down to. But I'm saying when you viewed a content item, which is essentially a page in our situation, and I'm saying when you viewed the landing page electric lease, right? So if we go ahead and click save now, this will segment users who have landed on that page. So I'm going to go back into my user right now, and we can see that this is me. And as I go ahead and click on the back button here, now you can actually see I get a personalized homepage. Now, how did I make this happen? So if we dive into the content, it's as simple as clicking on the content item. So example, the homepage, and you can see even on this screen, we have a slug to represent the page in Next.js. And then we can go ahead and see we've got these special stacks. Now, stacks have personalization stacks. And as you can see, we've got 3 different variants that could potentially be go ahead and rendered on the screen. So the original generic screen was welcome to ASIM lease, find your car today. However, this is for all customers. Now, we can actually dive down a bit deeper and specifically show certain situations or certain outcomes when we have segmented users. So in this case, if I go ahead and click on the green Your Drive lease top cars, and I go ahead and click this button here, you can see I can apply this to the electric car lovers, and I can even filter down to the countries. So I go ahead and click add. And now I go ahead and click publish and close. And now what it will do is if it can find a match with a segmented user base, it will go ahead and serve that instead of the original generic title. And this applies to anything on the screen. So we even have it for the recommendations. So you can see electric car lovers will get electric car recommendations. This is why you're getting the recommended electric cars down here. And this is why we've got the custom title up here. So as simple as that, guys, you can go ahead and just get your personalization working, and you control all of it from the backend panel. This is absolutely mind-blowingly powerful. Now, A/B tests. Typically, A/B tests can be quite a tricky nuance to get up and running inside of our code base. However, with Prepr, it's actually a breeze. So in this case, I'm actually going to go ahead and create an A/B test from scratch, so that way I can show you from absolutely the beginning. But let's go ahead and take this right here. So we've got this heading right here, which is business lease, and we've got a CTA which says learn more here. So if I go ahead and click this right now, okay, so there we go. We've got the business lease, learn more here. And now you can go ahead and see we've got the title business lease, which is this. We've got the learn more here, which is the CTA that's being pulled through. And we've got a link or any other thing that we can go ahead and say. So in this case, we can have an internal link. So you can actually have very smart stacks here. So where you can go ahead and actually pull in different pages that they can link to and so forth. But in this case, what I want to actually do is run an A/B test. So I simply go up to this top right-hand section and I click on A/B test. Now, you can see I get 2 variants. I get a business lease and I get the second variant. So if I go ahead and click on this, I can actually customize this. So I can go ahead and say something like, check out the business leases we got for you, right? And then here I can simply say, click to find out more, okay? That has now set up the A/B test. So we have an A variant and a B variant. All we have to do is publish and close, head back over to our website. And typically this user is already inside of a bucket. So we're going to have to pretend we're a new user here. So I'm going to reset my cookies to pretend I'm a new user, click on the home page. And now there is a 50-50 chance that we're going to get served either variant A or variant B. So if I go down, look at this, guys, check out the business leases we got for you. Click to find out more. And you can see we've been served, I guess it was the B variant, right? Remember, it was click to find out more. And if I click it, remember how it was linked to the electric lease page. So now you can see that is perfectly working and showcasing the example here. So I'm going to show you just again the A/B test that we've got down here. Check out the business leases we got for you, and it was linking to the landing page electric lease. Now we're going to try one more time, guys. We're going to go down here. We're going to reset our cookies, and then we're going to go back over to ASIM lease. And here you can see now we've got the variant A. So typically the way that these would work is you wouldn't just go ahead and switch every time between variant A and variant B. You would imagine it in a situation where you would have, let's just say, thousands of users come to your page. So let's say we've got 10,000 users visit our page. 5,000 of them will get variant A, 5,000 of them will get variant B. And then what we would do is we would measure the click-through on the CTA, and we would actually track which variant performed better. So which variant resulted in more people clicking through to the page, which actually optimizes our website and improves the usability and conversion rates of the website. So as you can imagine, this leads to a much better user experience. So in that case, I'm going to show you how we can set all of this up and it's a much simpler than you think. So first thing I want you to do is head over to the second link in the description, click on code, and I want you to go ahead and click on copy. Now you can open up your terminal. So in this case, I've got my terminal here. So I'm going to cd into my documents and my builds. So I'm going to do a git clone, and I'm going to paste in that copied URL. Now I'm going to cd into the car rental app, and I'm going to type in code . And this will go ahead and start up my app. So that way I can go ahead and edit the code. So we can close that. We can keep this open. I'm actually going to pop this on another screen so we can go ahead and work with that. So the first step to getting this set up is we actually need to go ahead and firstly, you can actually look at all of the different screens here. For example, electric lease, how it works. It's actually using GraphQL under the hood. So this is a perfect project to actually go ahead and reverse engineer, practice with the documentation on their website to go ahead and get set up. But this is the first step. Now, if that demo excited you, I'm going to show you just how easy it is to implement it. But I'm going to do one step even further, guys. Your boys hooked you up with a 20% off for the flexible plan. And you can get it by simply hitting the first link in the description and landing on this page. Now, I want to mention as well, guys, before we start, I always get the question, Sonny, is it paid? Is it free? Well, actually, the community version here is absolutely massive value, guys. You get one environment, 3 users, 100 gigs of traffic a month, A/B testing and personalization included out of the box, recommendations, up to 3 customer segments. I actually showed you one already, and you get community-based support for absolutely free. So this is absolutely incredible value for getting set up with your projects. And what I would recommend is you actually go ahead and create these projects, introduce tech like Prepr, have A/B tests, have different personalization features, and put that on your portfolio, and it will blow away your future employers. I promise you that. So we're going to go ahead and sign up right now. So I'm going to click on continue with Google, pull it up. I'm going to log into my account, and I'm going to show you the steps from the beginning. So in this case now, I'm going to wait for that to load, and then we have to go ahead and give it a company name. So I'm going to call this one Papa Fam. You can go ahead and simply pop your name in. We're going to represent. And then we've got what is your role. So in this case, this information will help us optimize your experience. I'm going to click on developer, and you simply want to just jump through and pop these in. Now, if you have got a team, this is the time you can invite them, give them different privileges. I'm going to skip for now because it's just me. And then they've got some very helpful videos throughout. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and actually take me directly to Prepr, but you can schedule a call. The team is awesome. I've actually worked a lot with them, even the developers, everyone at Prepr, really cool bunch to work with. So now we've got the environment. The next step is we need to create our first environment. And again, you can feel free to watch this video, but I'm going to go ahead and jump straight in. So I'm going to call this one just Papa Fam environment, and we can give it a default language, and I'm going to launch straight to production. So we're going to create our first environment. And this is essentially where our schema, content items, media files, everything will live and breathe, right? So this is where everything, all of that magic will happen. Now, our first step is to create a schema. Now, the thing is, when I typically work with any of these new bits of tech, I don't actually like to start from absolute scratch. I like to play around with it, get my hands into some code, mess around with things, break it, reverse engineer it, and then learn in that way as opposed to from a blank canvas. So what we've done is we've actually set you guys up with a starter template. So you can actually directly load the test demo that I actually showed you earlier into your project, which is awesome. So we're going to go ahead and do the second option. And what it will do is it will create the schema, it will create the content, and it will upload the test media assets. So all the different cars and everything. And then what we're going to do is we're going to plug that into our Next.js app and run it on our local host. And I'm going to show you how you can set up all of those segments and A/B tests from scratch, and even how you can measure and track the different conversion rates with your A/B tests. So it's going to be a real good video. Okay, so first things first, now we've got that up and running. So you can see we've got things that we needed here. So this is our perfect setup, and you can see we've got lots of different tutorials. So I'd highly recommend you go ahead and check out the guide and actually look at all of these documentation items when you get some time. But in our case, we're going to go straight over to the settings. We're going to go down to the tracking code, and we're going to add a piece of code into our app. So this tracking code right here is a script which allows us to actually track the different movements from our user inside of our app. So here, I want you to go ahead and copy the following code, and I want you to go over to your code into the layout, and you might get an error here that is saying they can't find Next.script. That's because you need to actually run npm install into your project to actually add all of the dependencies. Now, once you've done that, you will get no error. So you can see everything should be good. And we're going to paste in that new script, and make sure you paste it inside of these brackets right there. Okay. So we've gone ahead, pasted in our new script, and there we go. Everything looks great. Then we're going to go ahead and run our app. So npm run dev inside of our terminal. Command J is to open up the terminal. And this will now spin up our app on localhost 3000. And if we did it all correctly, this should be working perfectly. So I'm going to go ahead and hit refresh, and we should see our home page. And boom, just like that, we have our homepage. So the beautiful thing about this is that this is pulling data from the Prepr platform that we just went ahead and set up. So if we go ahead into the content section, and just to prove a point, we go find our homepage, click it, and I want you to do a little test for yourself. I want you to update something on the CMS platform and actually see if it updates for yourself. And you can see right here, we have no segments set up yet. But the first thing is welcome to Asym Carve. So let's go ahead and head back into our demo, So let's go back over here, click it, and I'm going to say just an exclamation mark. So right now there's no exclamation mark. I've added an exclamation mark. I've clicked publish and close. And then now in just a second, it would have published the change. Hit refresh, and we should see an exclamation mark, and perfect. Now, there's a little bit of an issue because we can see, all of those different variants being pushed through. That's because we haven't set up our segments. So what I'm going to do next is set up some segments. So that way we don't see all of the data items. So as I showed you before, in this situation, we have all three being rendered on the screen. That's not what we want. We want it to be filtered down, only showing that instance if it was a segment that was identified for the user. So we're going to click on segment, and I'm going to create two different segments now. The first one is going to be for electric car lovers. So electric car lovers. And the condition for an electric car lover is if they viewed the content item, and this is going to be the electric landing page. So landing page, electric lease, and all of this would have been added for you by default. We click on save segment, and then we click on create another segment, and I'm going to go ahead and say occasion lovers, and this is for essentially it just means used car lovers. So let's go ahead and do that, and we're going to go ahead and do viewed content item. And this one is for the occasion landing page. Okay. So we've got the landing page, occasion lease, click on save segment. And now we've got two segments, electric car lovers and used car lovers. Okay. So now if we head back over to our content, we can add in our personalization that I showed you earlier. So we go back to the homepage, and now we've got three different variants. Welcome to Asym lease, which is for all customers. We've got a car for every occasion, which I'm going to go ahead and segment for the used car lovers. And then we have green your drive, which is for the electric car lovers. So now I've added in the personalization for the header. We're going to go down to this one, and we're going to do the same for electric car lovers. It's going to be for the electric car recommendations. We've got the used car recommendations is going to be for the used car lovers. And then the generic car recommendations is actually going to be for everyone else. So it doesn't matter which order in, but you can see there it looks a bit more consistent because now we've got the same layout, right? And we can click on publish and close. And just like that, guys, we've added in our first personalization into our website. So now if I go back and I hit refresh, we will not see everything on the screen. We just see the generic page. Now, how is it tracking when I go onto each of these individual pages? So for example, when I click on the business lease page, how does it know that this is a electric lease landing page? So in that case, if we go back over, I'm going to show you how it does it. Now, this is actually a really cool part of the development that the guys have actually set up, and I want to showcase it to you myself. So the way this works is in each of the pages, for example, the electric lease page, which is the page that we're on here. So if I go down, you will see that when we actually render out the main properties, the meta tag here is what is responsible. Now, there's a really handy URL, and if you simply go to docs.prepr.io, event data, and then it's hashtag recording events. So this URL right here, you will find this. Now, all you need to do to start tracking events is go ahead and add in a meta tag with the property prepr::id. And then you simply give the content ID. Now, if you're wondering what is the content ID, I'll show you what that is right now. So If we go to the landing page for electric lease, you will notice that this actually has a content ID here. So it's got a content item ID. Now this content item ID is the thing that is actually being fetched when the page is rendered, and everything comes down to our slug. So right now what I'll show you is the implementation for this is you've got data.page.id. So the way it works is when the page loads, we've got a server component here in Next.js 14. When the page loads, it simply calls this get business lease data. And this is typically what is followed throughout the project, the same similar approach. So we've got our Apollo client, which is fetched over here, and we're passing through a slug, and the slug corresponds to the page itself. And then we have different queries which actually query the database on the back end. And this is all using a GraphQL. And if you want to get a better insight as to how this works, you can simply go over to the playground. So if you go to access tokens and then you go ahead and click that, here you actually got your GraphQL production, click that as well, and you actually get through to the API Explorer. So I want you to click that. And here you get a nice breakdown of the schema. So this is a really good starting place to understand how a project works. So this is a typical GraphQL playground. So if we click into schema, you can see all of the different interfaces. For example, we've got components and modals. Modals represent, for example, the car, category, page, recommendations, and redirects. If I click into page, for example, you can see we've got all of these different properties that we can pull from a page, right? And then you can go ahead and see how that all works. Now, typically each different one has an ID, right? A unique identifier. You simply pass in the page ID of what you've gone ahead and fetched. That will track it because it knows that that is the landing page. And honestly, guys, that is as simple as it gets. So that's how you go ahead and track different pages. And if I can give you another little brief example of that in action. So if we go back to our segments right here, and I actually find my user that I am using right now. So let's go ahead and firstly test our site. So the first thing you should do is actually when you get this up and running, I want you to go ahead and split this. So let's open up a local host, and right here, go down to the bottom, reset your cookies. And then we've got, for example, this, let's go back home. So once you've done that, you should see, if you refresh your segments, you should see a new customer. 3 seconds ago, that's perfect. And it will have your location from where you're viewing from. So I'm located in Dubai right now. And as you can see, the homepage was triggered. And if we were to even check this in the code, you would see that inside of our page.tsx, which represents the homepage, we should have a meta tag again for the page ID. So this is again how it's triggering that view. Okay. And again, get page by slug. If you want to get a deeper insight into how the queries are being made, you can actually go ahead and check them out. All of the queries are here. We've got get car, get catalog data, and get page by slug. And then you can go ahead and actually mess around with these yourself. Okay. And then once you've done that, you've got the different views here. So I'm going to go ahead and test it again and go into the, for example, electric lease page. So that was actually already on there. But if we go ahead and just refresh the page, so now I'm the same user, but I'm on the electric lease page, and we go over here and refresh the user's profile, we should see that they visited the electric lease page, which means that they should now be in the electric car lovers segment, which means they get served the electric car lovers data from the CMS platform. So naturally, when we go home now to the home page, we should get the, there we go, the electric car title and the recommended electric car. So personalization in a nutshell, working perfectly, right? Now you're probably wondering, but how does it know which user is actually making the request from the front end? And this is where the really clever part comes in. So by diving into the middleware, we can get a nicer insight as to what's going on here. So middleware essentially runs at every request when we are using Next.js. And what we're saying here is that if there is no cookie with the Prepr user ID, then we're going to go ahead and set a user ID with a random identifier, right? And this will go ahead and generate a random identifier for our user. Now, in this case, this is pretty straightforward, and it's going ahead and applying to all of the paths on the website. So this will intercept any request that the user makes, and it will go ahead and give them an ID if they don't already have one. So when we were doing the step of deleting our user, for example here, when we go ahead and reset the cookies, if I show you what was happening there, so we actually have a clear cookie route that is being called. All we're doing is deleting the user ID. And then at the next request, the middleware would pick it up, assign the user another ID, and that is how it's then going ahead and assigning that user's ID. However, where is it being used in the actual calls to the GraphQL server? So let's take another look at the homepage, and you can see at any of these requests, we can't see the user's ID being passed through. And that's because when we initialized our client, we actually went ahead and included it as a default header. And all you need to do, guys, is include the Prepr customer ID with the user's ID. And we get the user's ID from that cookie store. Now, by sending in the user ID of the user, it can now identify which segment that they may have been placed in, which variant for an A/B test they have been served, and so forth. And that is how it's going ahead and determining the personalization elements, the A/B testing elements, all of that good stuff. Now, speaking of A/B testing, let's go ahead and show you how we can go ahead and get the A/B testing elements set up. So I showed you the demo earlier about how we can get that up and running. So I'm going to go back into the platform right now. So we're going to our content, and we should actually have a dummy A/B test already set up for us. So we're going to head over to the home page. And right down here, we can see we have an A/B test for business leads and great value business leases. So this is already set up for us, a nice A/B test. So what we can actually do is, remember, all of that magic is actually happening on the platform itself. So on Prepr's CMS platform, and then it will go ahead and automatically assign that user a bucket. Now, once you've been assigned into a variant, whether it's A or variant B, so in this case, we've been assigned variant B. So if I show you just to prove, this is variant B. You can see B and A. Okay, variant B is great value business leases. And in this case, that's the one we have. So this user is now actually in the variant B bucket. Now, if I was to refresh the page 1,000 times while this test is ongoing, this user will remain in the variant B bucket. And that is what we want. Now, what I want to show you is how can we track what actually happens when we click this button. Now, that's the real thing that we would want to test there. We would want to test that if this title was different and if this CTA is different, which one performs better? Which one actually leads to more users visiting the electric lease page? And the way we do it is we're going to go ahead and track it when the user clicks the CTA. And that's typically where we would go ahead and trigger something like a Google Analytics conversion event or a Google Analytics lead event, or depending on the situation, that is when you would use your tracking software to go ahead and do it. So Google Analytics is typically the choice for many, and you can use something like Google Tag Manager to implement that. But really, the main thing that we need is to get the variant, so that way we can send Google Analytics the right information. So I'm going to show you how to do that right now. Inside the code, when we actually get the query, so for example, when we fetch the page, right? So get page by slug, this is the actual GraphQL query that we're calling, and it passes the slug along. And an example of this is here, for example, right? So when we're on the home page, we simply pass the home page slug. We are not caching anything because we actually want the personalization element every time. And then we're going to go ahead and review this. So now if we look inside of the query itself, here you can actually see this is where the actual magic happens. So here we have all of the different subsections here, but the actual page component itself is part of the component interface. Now, if that doesn't make much sense, I'm going to give you a little breakdown into the sandbox. So let's go over to the interfaces in our sandbox, and we have two interfaces. You can see component and modal. So if we click on component, we can actually see that all of these different elements are actually part of a component. Okay. Now here you've got the context and ID, which is consistent amongst all of them. So if we click on context now, you can see variant ID, group ID, and so forth. And as you can see, kind will return either the personalization or A/B test variants, right? So in this case, it would either be a personalization that will be returned or A/B test that will be returned. Now, if it's a personalization, it will have the user's, personalized element. Otherwise, if it's an A/B test, it will have variant A or variant B. And I'm going to show you this in action. So I've already created this for us. So I've modified the GraphQL query here to go ahead and pull that information as well. So we actually get the context, kind, variant, and group ID. And then let's go to an area where it's actually being used. So if we go over to, for example, our homepage, and let's go down to the image and text section. So in our instance, the image and text section would be these elements right here. So this is an image and text section, and here we know that we're running an A/B test. So heading into the image and text section, you can see we have this context item. So at the page level, what we actually had to do, guys, is we passed down the context from the section. So if I go up to the top here, the data page stack is what is being returned from GraphQL. So the first thing I want to do is I actually want to go ahead and console log the data to see what is being returned. So if we go ahead and do data right now inside of our console, because it's a server render, we can see we've got a page object inside. So data.page. And now if I render that out, we can see we've got lots of different items inside. So the stack is actually what is inside of, remember when we set everything up inside of the content part of the CMS? So if we go back here, this is actually the different stacks that are being returned. So the one that I care about is if we look inside of here, guys, you can see that if I go down to, for example, different elements of here, you got the header, anything which has personalization or an A/B test will have this context. So you see the header is something that we've added customization to. So personalization, so this is the header right here, that has the context, right? And that will have inside of it, it will have an element which will tell us about the personalization. So I'll show you that in just a second. But here is the one that I care about more. This is where we have the A/B test, the section, image, and text. So what I want to do is I want to pass the context down to, in this case, we map through everything, all of the stacks and all of the sections being rendered out. So inside of image and text, I'm going to pass the context down, go inside, and here you can see we've got the context. So I've got the context here. And inside of the context, we have the kind, which is either personalization or A/B test, and the variant ID and group ID. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and console log, just to sort of showcase it to you guys, console log and say A/B test, or actually I'm going to let it do it itself. I'm going to say underscore context. Okay. So we're just going to go ahead and render that out just like so. So we're passing it through here, and then we get the context here. Now, by doing that, what we can actually see, if I refresh the page and go back here, we should see, if I go all the way down, look at this, guys. It was an A/B test that's running on that section. We got the B variant. And you can see the group ID is actually the ID of that test. So regardless if you're in variant A or if you're in variant B, that group ID is the ID for that test. And that is extremely important, because if you're running a test, for example, in Google Analytics, then you need to have a specific ID for a given test. So that way you can measure if variant A or variant B is pinging off more, which one is converting more, and so forth. So in this case, you've got all of the items that you need to run a test. You've got the variant ID and you've got your group ID. So at this point now, what we can do, guys, is we can create a handle click function, which goes ahead. In this case, we're just console logging tracking code goes here, and then we're passing out the group ID and variant. But when the user clicks the CTA button, we're going to go ahead and handle that click. And in order to obviously have an interactive element on the page, we have to convert this to a client component. Okay. So in this case, we've got the handle click, which is right now, it's just going to go ahead and say tracking code goes here, but I'll show you what happens. So at this point, we've got the variant B. And I'm going to go ahead and open up my console now and close everything off. And now when I click this, this is the moment where you would record the Google Analytics event. So if I click it now, you can see tracking code goes here, and you would go ahead and essentially send this to your Google Analytics. Okay. So this is where you would essentially go ahead and say, for this test, the variant B was fired off. And then after, let's just say 30 days, and you had, let's say 5,000 users on the site, you would then see that, okay, for variant A, 1,000 users clicked through. However, variant B, we actually had about 4,000 users that went through that route. So variant B is a clear winner here, that is making sure that, more users are clicking based on the CTA title and so forth. So here is how we can essentially run our A/B test. Now, once we've done that step, we can go ahead and close our A/B test and conclude it. So how do we go ahead and do that? Well, it's actually fairly straightforward as well. So obviously at this point, you would have your tracking code here. So that is one element of it. But once you've identified, the winning variant, then all you need to do is head over to your actual test, and you simply go to the top right here and you click on End A/B Test. And now it will say ending the A/B test will keep one of the two variants you created for the test. Choose which one you want to keep. So in this case, let's just say A was absolutely so much better than B. I'm going to click on Keep A. And as you can see, it's kept A. We can click on Publish and Close. Okay, we head back over. And if I hit refresh now, green your drive, blah, blah, blah. And it's reverted to A. So now A is the clear winner. That A/B test has been resolved. So just like that, guys, we've gone ahead and actually introduced not only personalization into our website, but also the ability to run A/B tests to optimize our website. So that way we can maximize our conversion rates and increase the user's experience when they're interacting with the website. This will lead to things like, more sales. It will lead to people actually making better use of the website and actually finding where they want to navigate, or actually clicking or being incentivized to click into different areas, and overall results in better performance across your website. And the best part is that once you go ahead and set it up, the non-devs can actually go ahead and interact and create these A/B tests and then keep on doing what they need to do. So it's really awesome, because once it's set up from the dev team that one time, the marketing team or anyone else can come in and actually run an A/B test, record it with Google Analytics, and then go ahead and close the A/B test with zero intervention from the developer once it has been set up. That is absolutely incredibly powerful, and this is in its own a reason why you would want to use something like Prepr CMS to go ahead and handle not only the content management throughout your site, but also the personalization elements and the A/B testing elements on your site. So it powers it up massively. I cannot explain it. If you were to do this with other tools, one, you would have lots of different tools to go ahead and implement, which means lots of different costs. And remember, guys, this is free for your first 100 gigabytes per month. So that's absolutely incredible. And not only that, guys, you would then have to go ahead and tack on different tools to get things like A/B testing, as well as the content management system, as well as the personalization. Whereas with Prepr, we get all of this in one convenient package. So that is why we would want to use something like Prepr CMS. You can imagine the user friendliness of all of that was absolutely awesome. The cost efficiency, we need fewer licenses because it's all essentially covered under one modular framework. And we can go ahead and get the speed of just being able to publish our changes whenever we need it. And combine that with Next.js, you've got this beautiful harmony of getting the website that you wanted in the first place. Now, as I mentioned before, we had two amazing elements. We had the A/B testing element, where you can go ahead and actually boost the conversion rate by trying different variants, whether it's the color of the background, whether it's the layout. You can go ahead and test these different things out and actually go ahead and boost your conversions, or whether it's personalizations, which give different, users different versions of your website, whether you're a pro baker and you get the pro header, or whether you're a beginner baker and you get the beginner header at the top. These are things which typically would have to have bespoke solutions to go ahead and implement. Now it's extremely easy to go ahead and get set up. Now it's worth mentioning A/B testing, you combine Prepr CMS with other tools such as Google Analytics, which both are essentially free at the base tiers, to go ahead and get set up. So honestly, really, really powerful stuff. Now they even have some awesome guides, and the documentation is really, really great. But this time I wanted to take a different approach by actually going ahead and giving you the demo. So as I mentioned, the first link in the description saves you 20% off from the starting plans. So that's an awesome saving for yourself. But remember, it's already free with the base plan, so you can go ahead and get started straight away. And you even get all of the demo data that we used in today's build. And on top of that, I've saved you a bunch of time to go ahead and actually learn all of this by getting the GitHub link, which is in the second link in the description. And that you can go ahead and actually set up by following this tutorial today. Combine it with the Prepr backend that we can go ahead and actually self-populate by following what I did exactly today. And you can go ahead and get personalization and A/B testing and a beautiful car rental app up and ready and running in no time at all. This is how I would recommend you learn. And then you can go ahead and actually reverse engineer it, change it, extend it, add or create your own Prepr project and actually implement and connect it from scratch. The docs are fantastic. That's how I was able to learn and actually implement a lot of this myself. Now, before we wrap up, it's worth mentioning they have tons of other integrations. So they even have integrations with, amazing apps like Algolia. So whether or not you want to have a search integration integrated with the CMS platform, you can go ahead and do that. Cloudinary, we've got Salesforce, Segment for, error handling or any of that good stuff. And we've got even Shopify and HubSpot. So anything you essentially need in this instance, you can go ahead and plug and play. It's really, really nice. They even have cool AI translation features such as AI Assist to improve existing text on your website and AI generate text based on other fields. So for example, this may help with SEO and different things like that. But all of this has been catered to allow you to focus on more so the actual website itself and offload this to the Prepr platform to make your life easier and to allow you to further optimize your site so that way you can focus on increasing conversions of users. So there we have it, guys. A/B testing and personalization done the easy way by using Prepr CMS, right? As I mentioned before, you can go ahead, add in all the content you need for your website, add your A/B test to optimize it, and add in personalization. So that way your users get to see, content which is relatable to them to increase their user experience and conversion rate. So definitely give this one a try, guys. The first link in the description gets you 20% off. Second link in the description is the GitHub repo access. And remember, guys, if any of this was too difficult, then feel free to go ahead and check us out at pupperreact.com/course 0 to full stack hero. Guys, this is the community that I put my heart and soul into. It's where we go ahead and teach all of these in-depth concepts at the deepest level, I promise you. And you can go ahead and get started right away today and learn things like A/B testing, personalization, how to use tools like Prepr on a deeper level, how to learn the fundamentals of JavaScript, React, Next.js, TypeScript, Tailwind, all of those good, amazing bits of tech, including Next.js 13, 14, and how to transition from things like 12 to 13 to 14 and so forth. I cover all of these in weekly coaching calls. It's the place to be if you're trying to level up as a developer. Otherwise, guys, if you enjoyed content like this, then feel free to just simply smash the thumbs up button, drop a comment if you've enjoyed this video. And as always, guys, I will see you in the next video. I hope you enjoyed it. And until next time, guys, peace. I love you now.